Hello, my name is Madam Jennifer from Educare TZ. Welcome my lovely Form 3 students in our proceeding lecture series in biology, and we are currently proceeding with our topic on the regulation, where we have already covered several subtopics, and in our today's session we are proceeding with the concept of osmoregulation, and we are going to discuss on the osmoregulation of the regulation of the fluid pH, also as well as the regulation of the blood sugar, which is our fourth subtopic, which is regulation of the pH of the body fluid. Also, we are going to discuss on the regulation of the blood sugar level. This is a subsection we are going to discuss in detail. In this session, I would like to welcome you to keep on attention so that you can understand very well what is already prepared for you. So, the regulation of the pH of the body fluid. My lovely Form 3 students, in your topic of the chemistry and the acid and basicity, I hope now that you have learned on the concept of the pH, which is the degree of acidity, also as the and basicity. So, the pH of the body fluid tends to vary from time to time due to different chemical reactions which are taking place in the body of the living organism. The pH can either increase, meaning that the acid can increase, or it can increase, or it can decrease. And so there are different osmoregulation mechanisms which are to be taken place so as to ensure that the pH of the body fluids remain or are maintained at the constantly required level for different metabolic activities to take place in the body of an organism. And that is one of the advantages of osmoregulation, to provide the constant condition for the proper functioning of the cell. Meaning that if there will be too much acidic in the body, or there will be too much basic in the body, there will be a problem or disorder in the body of a living organism. So the osmoregulation takes place there so as to ensure that the pH of the body fluid are maintained at a required level for different bodily activity. So the pH is the negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. In mammals, the pH of the body fluid is maintained within the narrow range of between 7.2 and 7.4. Ukiangalia katika range ya pH imeanzia 1 hadi 18. From 7 kuendelea ni ya basicity na 7 kushuka chini ni acidity. So within the body of an organism, the pH is maintained katika range ya 7.2 mpaka 7.4, ambapo katika neutral value. There is not too much acidic or basicity. So meaning that it is in the constant level, not too much acidic or basic. So this is the optimal range for the activity of the intercellular enzyme, meaning that the enzyme controlled activity depends also in the pH. Instead of kuna temperature, also there is a pH. So in case if there will be the increase of the pH, meaning that there will be the denaturation of the activation of the enzyme, which may result to different disorders or diseases, even the death in the body of a particular living organism. So the maintenance of the pH is very, very important and very crucial in the body of organism. So the deviation of the pH outside this range leads to denaturation of the enzyme and the disruption of the biological processes. That's why the regulation is very, very important, meaning that if there will be the deviation of the pH in the body of organism, there will be the denaturation. Denaturation meaning that the enzyme become distracted or lose its original shape, na vile vile inaweza kupelekea disruption of different biological processes which are taking place in the body of organism. So many body processes produce acid and or bases which are then released into the body fluid to increase or to decrease. So there are different these bodily or activities which produce either basic or acid. So these acids are released into the body fluid so as to either to increase or to decrease. The main purpose is to ensure that the cell activity are performed at a required level. So the respiration produces pyruvic acid, lactic acid, and carbon dioxide, which decrease the hydrogen ion concentration in the body. As know that during the respiration process, the pyruvic acid and lactic acid, and carbon dioxide, these are one of the byproducts of the respiration during in aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So in case if there will be the increase in the carbonic acid in the body, so the carbon dioxide, which is a product of the respiration, is being released so as to ensure that it displays that that hydrogen ion so as to maintain the basicity or to neutralize that acidic which already produced in excess into the body of an organism. Also, we know that if there will be the excess of this lactic acid may result to the muscle cramp. So there must be a mechanism to ensure that this acid are maintained at the constant level. So the liver produces ammonium ion during the elimination of excess amino acid and hence increase the pH of the body fluid. Also during the deamination process. Deamination, this means the breaking down of the amino acid to get the amine. So during the deamination process, as one of the function of the liver, the amino acid is being produced. So it increases the pH of the body, or it increases the level of acidity into the body fluid. So there must be mechanisms to ensure that that amino acid cannot be toxic into the body of the organism. So a fall in pH means the hydrogen ion at higher concentration. For meaning that if the pH fall, or meaning that if the pH ikiwa ndogo, meaning that there will be the higher degree of the acidity. Najua kwamba katika ile pH range kuanzia 1 mpaka 7 yapo ni acidic, na kuanzia 7 hadi kuendelea yapo inakuwa ni basicity. Kwa 7 kushuka chini 6 5 yapo inakuwa ni pH ndogo, ambayo inamaanisha kwamba kuna large degree of acidity. So the kidney distal convoluted tubule regulates this by extracting excess hydrogen ion to the glomerular filtrate. As a result of the pH rises to normal. Now that was all about the regulation of the pH of the body fluid. Now I would like to pass you through the regulation of the blood sugar. You have already here on the different cases of the diabetes mellitus and insipidus. This is all about the failure. This result after the failure of particular hormones which are responsible for the regulation of the blood sugar in the body of the human being. And this hormone are insulin and glycogen. We are going to discuss them into detail, and they are under the control of the hormones as well as the central nervous system, or the control center. We have already discussed on the component of the regulation, where we see there is receptor, there is control center, also there is effector. So these all components are working very, very crucial in maintenance of the blood sugar into the body of the human being. Now, I would like to welcome you to see on how the body of the living organism, the body of human being, respond towards the regulation of the blood sugar into the body, and what will happen if there will be the failure of this hormone to regulate the amount of body fluid into the body of an organism. So the process of digestion of carbohydrates end up by producing simple sugar, mainly glucose. So during the digestion of the carbohydrate, napata kwamba during the respiration tunapata the end product tunaenda kupata ni simple sugar ambayo inakuwa ni glucose. So this glucose is very crucial, ni moja ya important source of the energy to the body of an organism, so as to perform different cellular activity, for the growth, for the development, for the reproduction and other activities. So the glucose is absorbed from the alimentary canal to the body stream through the active transport. The active transport, this is the movement of the material against the concentration gradient, and this type of movement require the energy in form of ATP, so to ensure that the material are moved very, very efficiently from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration against the concentration gradient. So in human being, the level of blood glucose is maintained within the narrow range between 90 and 100 mg per 100 ml of blood. However, the fluctuation occurs due to large intake or increase in utilization of the glucose. Kwa the narrow range of the blood glucose, kwa mfano ukienda kupima the blood glucose level, the normal inatakiwa range katika 90 mpaka 100. That is normal. That is how it can. Lakini kuna kuwepo na fluctuation. This fluctuation can be caused either due to the large intake of the carbohydrates, which produce the large amount of the glucose into the body of the organism. So, for example, it may fall for about 80 mg per 100 ml of blood before the breakfast and rise to about 140 mg per 100 mg of blood after the heavy intake of the carbohydrate. So this blood pressure, it can vary, it can fluctuate depending on the intake of the carbohydrates, which produce the amount of the glucose. That means that the large intake of the carbohydrates will result into the large production of the glucose into the body or into the blood of an organism. So example, before the breakfast, the blood glucose can either fall up to 80 milligram per 100 liters of blood, while after the intake of the heavy carbohydrate which produce the largest in amount of the glucose into the blood, the pressure, the blood glucose can rise up to 140 milligram per 100 ml of the blood. So it is important that the level of blood glucose is maintained at relatively constant. So the level of the blood glucose must be maintained at a relatively constant level, meaning that the decrease or the increase in this blood glucose level into the body of the human being can result into the disorders into the body of the organism. It can result either to hypoglycemia or hyperglycemia. We will see in details in a coming session. So the pancreas is major endocrine gland in the body that play important role in the maintaining constant level of glucose into the blood. As we see that this blood glucose regulation is hormonal controlled. It is under the control of the hormone. So example, the pancreas. This is one of the hormone which is responsible for the regulation of the blood glucose level by the production of the two major types of the hormone ambayo tunaenda kuziangalia, ambayo the pancreas produce two type of hormones, ambayo ya kwanza ni glucagon ambayo yenyewe ina be release when the blood glucose level imekuwa ni ndogo, lakini nyingine ni insulin ambayo yenyewe inakuwa ina be release pale blood glucose level inapokuwa ni nyingi kwa ajili ya kuweza kumconvert ile glucose kwenda katika glycogen kwa ajili ya storage. So these all two hormones are released from specialized pancreatic cell ambazo zinaitwa islet of Langerhans. So these are produced from these cells or specialized pancreatic cell ambazo zinaitwa islet of Langerhans. So the alpha cell of islet of Langerhans secretes the glucagon and the beta cell secretes the insulin. So the glucagon, this is produced from this alpha islet of Langerhans, while the insulin is produced from the beta islet of Langerhans. So these two hormones work antagonistically. That means that they work together but in opposite direction. Antagonistic work meaning that the two hormones or the two components where we see in the muscle, in the movement of the muscle, where we see the biceps and triceps, where you see that they work together but in opposite direction. When the biceps muscle relax, the triceps muscle contract. The same as in the blood glucose level regulation, where we have glucagon and insulin. These two hormones, they work together but in opposite direction, meaning that the glucagon or the glycogen, this work when the blood glucose level is low, where it results to the breakage down of the fats of the glycogen to release the glucose back into the blood. While the insulin, this work when the blood glucose level is at higher level. So it works to convert the glucose into glycogen for the storage, for the function of other bodily activity. So it decreases the level of the blood to ensure that the blood glucose are maintained at a constant level to avoid any disorder or the disease which may result to the failure or due to the excess or in decreases of the blood sugar. So their function is to ensure that the level of sugar stay within the range of 90 to 100 milligram per 100 ml of human blood. So these are main function of these two hormones in maintenance of this blood sugar to normal level, which is 90 milligram to 100 milligram of 100 ml of the human blood. So insulin is produced when the blood sugar level is higher than the required, while the glucagon is produced when the blood glucose level is lower. So these hormones are regulated by negative feedback. As we see, the kind of the response from the control center, they can be the positive or negative. As we see on the positive example, lactation, the production of the oxytocin during the labor period. Also, we have seen on the negative feedback example was the regulation of the blood sugar, also the regulation of the blood pressure. So within the blood sugar regulation, it is regulated by the negative feedback, meaning that it stabilizes the condition, so to ensure that it remain in the constant level at the stability. When there is increase, it ensures that that amount of that increases above the level is decreased, while if there is decrease, it ensures that that amount of glucose which has been in the lower level are increased, so as to ensure that the bodily function very efficiently, or the cell of the body function more efficiently. So insulin reduces the glucose level in the blood by stimulating the cell of the body, except the brain cell, to take up glucose from the blood. So as you already see that the insulin, this is released during the high blood sugar production. So when there will be the high blood sugar production, the insulin reduces the glucose level in the blood by stimulating cells of the body, with the exception of the cell of the brain. So to take up glucose from the blood and to convert into the glycogen for storage. So it lowers the glucose level into the blood by converting glucose to glycogen and store it into the liver and muscle cell for other bodily activities. Some are converted into fats kwa ajili ya protection of this delicate part of the body, na vile vile for the insulation kwa ajili ya production of the energy. So insulin also blocks the conversion of amino acid and glycogen to glucose. So the increase of the blood sugar inapelekea pa insulin vile vile kuweza kublock the deamination process by the liver, na vile vile ina block the conversion or the breaking down of glycogen to glucose to ensure that the blood glucose level does not rise or does not increase or does not exceed the level which is required. So the liver stores the carbohydrate as glycogen, and the cell of the liver are extremely sensitive to glucagon. So during here ilikuwa ni mechanism of the blood glucose regulation when the blood sugar inakuwa ni higher. Now let us see on how the glycogen hormone yenyewe inakuwa ina be released when the blood sugar imekuwa ni ndogo katika mwili. So the cell of the liver are extremely sensitive to glucagon. Glucagon yenyewe ndio inaopelekea the conversion of the glycogen kwenda katika glucose when the blood sugar inakuwa ni ndogo katika mwili. So the glucagon directs the liver to convert the glycogen to glucose, and the glucagon initiates the release of glucose back into the blood circulation when the glucose level is low in the blood. So that is all how the blood sugar is regulated under the hormonal control ya glycogen pamoja na insulin to ensure that the blood sugar is maintained at the level of 90 mg to 100 mg of 100 ml of human blood to ensure that the blood glucose level inakuwa katika normal condition. Lakini kama kutakuwepo kuna failure of the insulin katika regulation of the high blood pressure, high blood glucose inaweza kapelekea high blood glucose ambayo ni hyperglycemia. Lakini kama kutakuwa kuna disorder or failure of this glycogen katika ku maintain the level of the blood glucose when there is low amount of the blood glucose level katika blood, inaweza kapelekea the low blood pressure, blood glucose into the body of organism, ambayo inapelekea condition ambayo inaitwa hypoglycemia. Will see the effect or the result of the failure of these two hormones in the regulation of the blood glucose level into the body of the human organism. So the glucagon and insulin are critical hormones in the blood glucose control, and they work cooperatively within the liver. They work together but antagonistically. So although nutrition is a key factor in stabilizing the level of blood glucose, so the nutrition, the kind of nutrition you are taking, the amount of the carbohydrates you are taking, the one which can either increase or decrease the blood sugar level. So up to now, my lovely Form 3 students, I hope now you have well equipped, and now you can explain the mechanism of the regulation of the pH of the body fluid. Also, if you have to explain the mechanism of the regulation of the blood sugar in the body of the human, now you can explain very clearly, and if possible, you can either show even the chemical equation so as to illustrate that what you have already understand. Make sure that you know that the practice make perfect. Make sure that you understand and not just memorizing, so as you can use it in your future. Also, it can help you in your life, because the biology, this is the real subject which you study something which is real and it happen in your body. So I would like to provide you this simple task so as to improve your understanding. My question is, explain how blood sugar and body fluid can be regulated. The second question, state the roles of insulin and glucagon in blood sugar regulation. My lovely Form 3 students, I hope now you have enjoyed the lesson, you have very well understood. So I would like to welcome you to to keep on staying tuned at Educare TZ. Keep on following our session. Also, don't forget to comment if there is any problem, suggestion. You can comment it in your comment. Also, don't forget to share for other groups, for your fellows, so that they can also learn in detail. So, thank you for your attention. Have a nice moment.